there's a truth nobody warns you about. When you grow up ignored, you don't just become quiet, you become invisible to yourself. Not overnight, not from one painful moment, but slowly, silently, like a light dimming without anyone noticing. Ignored children carry a wound that leaves no bruises, no dramatic story, no clear villain, just a quiet ache that whispers, "Don't take up space. Don't ask for too much. Don't expect anyone to stay." You learn to shrink before anyone even asks you to. You walk into rooms like an apology. You enter relationships already preparing to be dismissed. You succeed at something, but instead of feeling proud, you wait for it to be overlooked, because being overlooked feels familiar. People think neglect is loud. They imagine screaming, chaos, violence. But the most damaging kind is silent. Emotional neglect. Invisible wounds. The kind where your parents weren't cruel, they were just absent. Busy, distracted, exhausted, lost inside their own storms. They gave you food, clothes, maybe even love in their own way. But they didn't see you. And to a child, being unseen isn't a small inconvenience. It becomes the blueprint of their identity. A child becomes what the world mirrors back. If no one reflects your emotions, your joy, your pain, you learn to question your own existence. You stop showing excitement because no one responds. You stop asking questions because no one answers. You stop expressing needs because the silence hurts more than the need ever did. Psychologists call this internalized neglect, a schema that teaches the brain to expect dismissal before it even happens. Your nervous system learns a pattern. If I stay quiet, if I stay small, maybe I won't be disappointed. That's how an ignored child survives. But survival always has a cost. Because when that child grows up, the same strategy that once protected them becomes the very thing that traps them. They can't ask for love without feeling guilty. They can't set boundaries without feeling selfish. They can't trust joy without waiting for it to disappear. They don't just move through life quietly, they move through life in the background. Watching. Understanding. Carrying everyone else's emotions except their own. This is the wound of the invisible child. Not loud, not obvious, but deep enough to shape an entire life. Ignored children don't grow up to be loud or chaotic. They grow up to be hyper-aware, over-functioning, emotionally intelligent adults who carry a tremble no one sees. From the outside, they look strong. On the inside, there's still that child, tiptoeing around the fear of being dismissed. They become the quiet listener, the one who absorbs everyone's pain but never speaks their own. Because the old belief still echoes, my feelings aren't important. They become the high achiever, the perfectionist who gets everything done, who never fails, who never rests, trying to earn the acknowledgement they never received. They become the peacekeeper, reading every shift in tone, every change in mood, smoothing every situation before it breaks. Because as a child, tension meant danger and silence meant rejection. Some go the opposite way. They become avoidant, craving love but terrified of it, pushing people away the moment things feel real. Others become emotional ghosts, not because they don't feel, but because feeling has always been overwhelming. Numbness becomes home. This is what emotional neglect does. It doesn't create visible trauma. It creates disconnect. A disconnect from self-worth. A disconnect from identity. A disconnect from the belief that I matter. Neuroscience shows something heartbreaking. A child who is consistently ignored develops the same internal stress responses as a child facing danger. Cortisol rises. fight or flight activates. The nervous system becomes wired to expect rejection. Not because the child was hurt, but because they were not held. That wiring carries into adulthood as patterns: overthinking every message, apologizing for existing, feeling guilty for having needs, waiting for relationships to fall apart, shrinking when they should speak, feeling lonely even in a crowded room. A 2019 study found that emotional neglect predicts chronic loneliness, even when an adult has friends, a partner, or a stable life. Because loneliness isn't the absence of people, it's the absence of being seen. And the most hidden consequence? Ignored children grow up mastering the art of pretending they're fine. They smile on cue. They say it's okay, even when it isn't. They minimize their pain so others won't feel uncomfortable. The world praises them for being independent, calm, selfless. But strength built from neglect is not strength, it's survival. These adults don't break loudly. They break quietly. They don't explode. They fade. Until one day they wake up and whisper to themselves, "Why do I feel so empty? Why do I always settle for less? Why is love so hard for me?" The answer is simple, painful, and real. Because the child inside them is still standing in that room, tugging on a sleeve that never turned around. Healing doesn't begin with forgiveness or forgetting. It begins with recognition, the moment you finally admit, "What happened to me mattered." Ignored children grow up believing their pain is not bad enough to count. But emotional neglect is trauma. Silence is an injury. Absence is a wound. And acknowledging that truth is the first time you stop abandoning yourself. Healing isn't loud. It doesn't arrive with fireworks. It shows up in small, revolutionary moments. Tiny acts of courage that begin rewriting a lifetime of silence. It looks like saying your needs out loud, even when your voice shakes. It looks like taking up space, speaking your thoughts, sharing your feelings without shrinking. It looks like celebrating your wins, because ignored children were taught to downplay everything that made them shine. It looks like setting a boundary and resisting the urge to apologize for it. It looks like asking for support, not because you're weak, but because you finally understand you were never meant to carry everything alone. And slowly, moment by moment, your nervous system begins to learn something new. I deserve to be heard. I deserve to be safe. I deserve to exist without shrinking. Here's the part people never talk about. When you heal from being ignored, you're not just healing yourself. You're ending a lineage of quiet suffering. Parents who ignore their children were often ignored themselves. Silence passes through generations the way trauma does. But when you begin to listen to yourself, when you validate your own emotions, when you choose connection over disappearance, you break the chain. You become the person who sees others deeply, because you know the cost of being unseen. You become the friend who listens, the partner who shows up, the parent who looks their child in the eyes and says, "I'm here." You become visible, first to yourself and then to the world. The truth is, you were never invisible. You were simply raised in an environment that didn't know how to see you. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. Your depth is not too much. Your empathy is not weakness. These are the gifts that grew from surviving silence. Now comes your turning point. You go back for the child you once were. You take their hand and tell them the words they needed all along. You deserved better. And I will give you better now. Because being ignored shaped you, but it does not define you. You get to choose what happens next. You get to rewrite the blueprint. you get to live a life where you finally take up space. And if you're here, listening to these words, feeling something stir inside your chest, it means the healing has already begun. This is your reminder. You were never asking for too much. You were always asking for what every human being needs, to be seen. And now, finally, you are. If this message spoke to you and you want more deep psychological stories like this, you're welcome to join us here at the Growth Valley. Subscribe, stay with the journey, and keep growing with us, one awakened story at a time.